Okay, I was gonna see if what she has to say if I use her here. Maybe not exactly accusing, but close. I was told you were seen sneaking away from Marissa's chambers recently. Is that connected with your missing veil somehow? She flies into a rage. Who told you that? She suddenly falls silent, glaring at you through narrowed eyes. If I was there, Burke, I didn't take her filthy veil. Search my room if you'd like. I catch you sniffing at my birches, though. I'll see to it you're never allowed in here again. Why would anyone ever sniff at your birches? Beats me. Someone sniffed more than a few pairs of them. Few pairs of them, though. My favorite leather brassiere, too. With the iron studs. She humps angrily. Okay, we can ask her about, Rebel Puzzle Wall? What would I know about her? I look like a scholar or something? Go ask someone more learned. Or Eves. She'll probably have at least one story about her in that pile of tales she carries about in her bone box. Oh, and squat on a halberd while you're at it. Okay.
I'm gone.
Alright, we'll go to Eves in a second here, but I'm kind of curious if anyone else has anything to say. Now that we've learned one more thing. Kimaxi says someone's been taking things from her room too. Seen anything odd?
My journal.
Her eyes suddenly go wide. Oh, that's right. You know, I once saw a man sneaking into Kimaxi's room while she was out talking to a patron. I watched the front doors all day, but he never, ever left. Isn't that odd? I don't think he could have made it out a window, and so I never figured out where he went. And then I totally forgot about it. Weird, huh? Yeah, I mean, that's gotta be the Armor. Lewis.
I'm gone.
Yeah, here we go. Annie told me she saw a man leaving Addertongue's room. I think that was you, Lewis. You think? Think? How could you be so alarmingly rude, so ludicrously presumptuous, as to spout forth such an accusation without being absolutely certain of your charges? How dare you, impertinent brassy cur? Why, I oughta... As Lewis rails and curses, the drawers open and close. You notice a small bundle of crimson cloth tucked alongside some clothes. The repeated opening and closing of the armoire drawers makes it difficult to grab, however. Make an opportunity? Wait for an opportunity? You stand poised at the edge of the armoire. It keeps gabbing on, but it never seems to stay open long enough for you to grab the cloth. Try and snap your hand in while the drawer is open. I think you have to have like 16 dexterity to do this, which is probably like the highest check you have. I do think there's another way to get it though. I don't remember what though. You succeed in yanking the cloth, translucent crimson veil, from the armoire. Tucking it away, you notice that it is perfumed with a light, exotic, and most pleasant fragrance. Damn it, you rogue, blackguard, scoundrel. You give that back this instant. That's not yours. That is an exceedingly personal garment that belongs to a lady of this fine establishment, and they would not appreciate you fondling their private things. Oh, but it's alright for you, you wooden pervert. I'm not doing anything so criminal and as malicious as you are. I am merely soaking in sensations necessary to my growth as an individual. Yes, farewell, Lewis.
I'm gone.
Let's do the scent first, I'm guessing. Okay, we're looking for Vivian, right? Here she is. She greets you with a polite half smile. Have you had any luck? Finding my scent, perchance? Yes, I found it in this red veil. Her eyes light up. Oh, simply wonderful. She takes the veil from your hands, mutters a few words over it, and returns it to you. She shakes out her crimson hair, and in moments you are surrounded by the most intensely exotic and arousing scent you've ever had the pleasure of smelling. That smells great. It does it not? She smiles at you. And as you have done me a favor, so I wish to perform one for you. Stand close to me, scarred one. Approach her. You step closer to Vivian. As you step closer to Vivian, she takes your hand and, turning it over, takes a single cautious sniff of your wrist. Ew! She wrinkles her nose. Vinegar. Or embalming fluid? Here, I will remove this smell from you. She mutters a few strange symbols and a light tingling sensation spreads over your skin. In moments, your chemical reek lessens substantially. There, how's that? Perhaps you should be... people should be less eager to avoid conversation with you now.
You know, I've learned some new
Thanks,
tricks.
Fairby, and farewell. Oh, hey, Anna leveled up.
Hi.
Also, we got a +1 charisma. Very nice. I wonder what my wisdom is naturally out at now. I think it might be at yeah, 24. We'll get it to 25.
Ready.
Well before the end of the game, naturally, so we can use a different tattoo. Does Ignis also wear tattoos? No. Oops. Okay, level up. We leveled up her fighter class.
Hi. What?
Done.
And now we can go give this to Marissa now. Maybe she will answer some of our other questions. Actually, I brought your Crimson Veil. Her cold, cruel voice hisses from out of the darkness. Oh no, that's what I said before. She said before that. And then would you please hand it over? Of course. Here you are.
Updated my journal.
You hold the Crimson Veil before you, and feel her take it from your hands. Ah, yes, much better. Two shining points of red light appear before you as she opens her eyes. So that's what you look like. Perhaps I would have been better off without my eyes shut. Watch that forked tongue of yours, Marissa. Do not even get me started. Hey. I'm curious if all the, conversation is the same, even though we've given that back. Oh no, it's slightly different. At first it was because... Why do you stay behind the screen? At first it was because I lost my Crimson Veil. But now? I do not know. Perhaps I have grown accustomed to dealing with my patrons in this manner, and have grown to enjoy it. In time, I imagine I will tire of it and venture out into Sigil once more. But for now, I am comfortable here. Seems like the conversation hasn't changed. Okay. Turn the limb into the stone. Here it is then. Marissa takes the happy little creature from your hands. It chirps happily, pew, pew, unaware of its impending fate. With an eerie flash of sickly red light, the gleeful lim's chirping comes to an abrupt and disquieting stop. Marissa places the limlin, now a thing of cold and heavy stone, into your hands. That weighs quite a bit.
Done.
Okay. So I guess I still have Eves to talk to. Ooh, check out at her tongue for just a second. Let me make sure that didn't make me chaotic or anything now. Okay. Alright, use the tail chaser. Come to trade tales. Questions. Why are you called the tail chaser? Once upon a time, a girl came to an oracle who was rumored to know many things, and asked of it a boon. Her life was in need of direction, so she asked the oracle as to what would give her purpose. Now, the oracle was not evil, but it was vague and tended towards drink, which caused it to be obscure in many matters of judgment and focus. Its only answer to the girl's question was that within one story she would hear in her lifetime was the truth that she sought. The girl went off and collected stories, which she chases to this day, not knowing which of the thousands holds the truth. Such is the danger of a foolish question, and the wisdom of an unspoken one. What are you doing here? I collect tales and trade them with others who've tales of their own. Can you tell me about this place? That is part of Mr. Grace's story, which is not mine to tell. She has said that when she nears the end of her years, she shall tell me, and only if I pledge never to share it with another. She hopes that she will never need to tell me her tale, for she hopes I will find my own story before that time and leave this place. I think she fears my life will be squandered in searching for this tale, and not acting upon what I already know. She sighs softly, but it cannot be helped. What do you know about the silent prostitute? Echo? She frowns, thinking, I once heard a tale of a girl who knew the word that, if spoken, would undo the multiverse. Perhaps that is Echo. Ask Delora, though. I understand that she sometimes meets with one who knew Echo before she stopped speaking. Okay, what about Ravel Puzzlewell? The tale of Ravel Puzzlewell, frightener of children, begins and ends with a question. What can change the nature of a man? Go on. Many were the times she posed this riddle to those who had approached her, those who sought to glean from her the strange magics that she alone seemed to possess. All attempted to answer her query, but to no avail. They found the price of their wrong answer to be some horrible fate, always always more terrible than the last victim's. To recount their various torments would be to speak of things that nightmares are woven from. Just a second. The tale strikes me in this way. Ravel herself knew not the answer to the question, but she lusted for such an answer. Only the why of the matter remained in question. Why did the nature of a man matter to one of the Grey Sisters, especially to one of such power as Ravel? Go on. It is said that she put the question to the Lady of Pain, not directly, but shouted at the sigil itself, daring for the lady to answer. When no reply was forthcoming, she wove terrible magics that threatened to open the cage and let the fury of the plains roll in like a wave. She received no answer other than banishment. To this day, no one knows the answer to Ravel's question. And now there is no one to petition. For Ravel herself is gone, lost to the plains.
Updated my journal.
Wait, there is more. Though my tale ends with Ravel's demise, there are some who claim the hag still lives. There is a silent prostitute here who once talked of such things, but she speaks no longer. If she would speak to you, she might tell you more of Ravel. Okay. Alright, let's trade tales now. Okay, tell her the story of your waking up in the mortuary. He leans forward as you tell your tale. Tell the tale of your awakening in the dustman's mortuary. She seems to devour your every word. As you finish, she smiles at you. I shall remember this tale. I too will tell a tale of the Dustman. Chapters of Dust. There are chapters in the Dead Book, the massive tomb which the Dustmen keep, that records the passing of all that lives into the eternal boundary. In this book, there are chapters that are naught but dust, and it is believed that the names therein are lost souls who cannot die, but must suffer life eternally until history itself dies and grants them release. Alley of Lingering Sighs. Easily is forward as you tell the tale of the alley giving birth. I shall remember this tale, and now I have one for you. Before I begin, I must ask, do you know what a Modron is? No. Modrons are creatures of total law, almost more machinery than living things. There are many different sorts of Modron, but all have their place in a very rigid, carefully organized hierarchy. So dedicated are they to the system that they cannot communicate with or even consider the existence of Modrons who are not their immediate superiors or inferiors. I understand now, and I shall tell you the tale of the clock and the quadrone. Once upon a time there existed a Modron. It was newly created, its logic fresh and untested, and it had come to sigil, following the commands of its Modron superiors. It knew nothing but commands and dictates, of obedience and passing along orders of its superiors. For you see, Modrons are only aware of the commands of their immediate superiors. They have no grasp of a higher authority. Till this one. One day I came upon a small shop, within which there was a small clock that could no longer tell time. It was cracked along the edges, the wheels of its hands broken. The Modron immediately set itself to work at getting the parts to fix the broken clock. It made a new wooden housing for the clock's parts, replaced the bent springs, carefully filed and oiled the clockwork machinery, and carved new hands from the sparse metal available to it. The newly repaired clock's precise ticking reminded it of the great gears of Mechanus, and it comforted it as much as anything may comfort a Modron. And what the Modron never came to understand was that it truly loved this clock that it had worked on, and for reasons it could not explain, elected to remain in sigil and be with the clock for the rest of its years. Okay, I don't think we should tell this one. Tell her the story of Requin's curse. I have one for you, the Gilded Tale. Upon the plain of Eastgard is the Gilded Hall, where those sensates that seek the pleasure of gullet and loin can be found. They indulge these passions in earnest, never realizing that the doors of the hall never open, and that there is no clear path back to the civic festal. They are the unwanted sensates, the ones that do not truly believe in the faction, but instead seek only pleasure for pleasure's sake. Are prisoners who do not realize they are such? Are prisoners who do not realize they are such truly prisoners? Okay, Alley of Dangerous Angles. I have one for you, the Lady Suitor. The tale concerns a suitor of the Lady of Pain. One of the many over the years, he was a young man who was obsessed with the Mistress of Sigil. He saw her everywhere, in every corner of her city. He would hear the rustling of her robes, the scrape of her blades, and grew infatuated beyond all reason. He hoped that if he worshipped her, that he would at last be able to see her, and so worship her he did. He was found dead on the blood-soaked steps of his own home, grievous stab wounds covering the whole of his body. But his eyes were open wide, and upon his lips was a triumphant smile. Okay, Tiller of Ignis. I have one for you, the Execution. Once, a murderer roamed Sigil streets, the black-hearted man by the name of Cossacks. He had been blessed by his abyssal mother, so that no one could strike him with an intent to harm, or they themselves would die. He reveled in this blessing, using it to start fights and murder anyone who crossed his path. During one of his murderous rages, he was captured by the Harmonium with nets, and brought before the governors. The trial was short, final, yet Cossacks laughed at the proceedings, knowing that no one among them could harm him without dying horribly. At the final day of his trial, he was proclaimed guilty and sentenced to death. Cossack's sentence proclaimed by the governors was this: confinement for thrice 30 days, during which time you shall give up your life, be declared dead, and your body removed when all lines of life cease. Cossacks laughed and dared any of them to try and harm him, yet the court was silent. The mercy killers led Cossacks to their prison and locked him in a dark, empty cell. No cot, no lights, and the only door was a steel grate in the ceiling. Then they lowered him into the cell. As they lowered him into the cell, the mercy killer told him, "In the corner of your cell, you will find a chalice. It holds poison. Your death will be swift." "Aren't you going to execute me?" Cossack snarled at the guard. "No one in Sigil shall lay a hand on you with intent to harm," came the mercy killer's reply. "Then I spit on your cowardice." Cossacks laughed, feeling for the chalice in the darkness, then hurling it at the wall and shattering it. Its poison dripped from the walls and dried until it was no more. "Come then, you will have to try and kill me now." But there was no response from the grate in the ceiling. It was then Cossacks noticed that the cell had no cot, no lights, and no food and water. All that remained was the shattered chalice, the poison gone, and for the first time Cossacks knew the icy touch of death's approach. In twice 30 days, the grate opened, and Cossack's body, now cold, was taken from the cell. It had given up its life, and the execution had been carried out. Okay, and we'll ask our companions in just a second. I need to take a quick break. I'll be right back. Okay, we can ask our companions for tales. Interesting that we can't ask Ignis. Mort, do you have a story to tell? Me? Why do I have to tell a story? Just tell one, Mort. Fine. An elderly man was sitting alone on a dark path, right? He wasn't certain of which direction to go, and he'd forgotten both where he was traveling to and who he was. He'd sat down for a moment to rest his weary legs, and suddenly looked up to see an elderly woman before him. She grinned, toothlessly, and with a cackle spoke. "Now your third wish." "What will it be? Go on, Mort." "Third wish?" The man was baffled. "How can it be a third wish if I hadn't had a first and a second wish?" "You've had 2 wishes already," the hag said. "But your second wish was for me to return everything to the way it was before you had made your first wish. That's why you remember nothing, because everything is the way it was before you made any wishes." He cackled at the poor Burke. "So it was that you have 1 wish left." "Alright," said the man. "I don't believe this, but there's no harm in wishing. I wish to know who I am." "Funny," said the old woman, as she granted his wish and disappeared forever. "That was your first wish." He smiles. "What an interesting tale, Mort. And now I've one for your companion. The Fiend's Game. The Fiend sometimes wandered the wilderness of a certain prime world in the guise of a friendly old man. One day he came upon some hunters in the wood. "What are you doing?" the Fiend asked. The hunters told him, and the Fiend nodded. "I have never been on a hunt before." The hunters invited the old man to come along, and the group eventually came upon a glade where several deer were grazing. The hunters carried crossbows but did not fire, and the Fiend asked them why. "Good, they are unharmed," the hunters chuckled, patting their crossbows. "We hunt nothing that does not have the ability to defend itself. After all, where's the sport in that?" The Fiend nodded at this and promptly gated in 3 of his fellows. The hunters led them on a merry chase, but eventually they were caught and eaten. Okay, Anna, do you have one? "I am no good at telling such things, I'm not." He frowns and waves her hands as if trying to shoo away the idea. "Do not be asking for such nonsense now." She smiles at Hannah. "But I would very much like to hear your story." "Please tell your story." "Come on already, Fiendling. You already have 1 tale you won't part with." Anna looks uncomfortably. her tail lashing slowly back and forth. Well, I know one story. She suddenly becomes angry, glaring at Eves. But you might not like it, you won't. So don't be blaming me for your choking it out of me. Go ahead. She scowls and finally relents with an exasperated sigh. I heard a tale, when I was a wee lass. This Burke's walking home real late, near Anti Peak, and passes an old toothless crone in a dark alley on an otherwise empty street. Where are you going? She asks him. Home, to me wife and Kip, he says. Near the slags? She asks him. Sure enough, he says. So she asks him a favor, to take a box she's got to the debtor's pit and give it to a woman there. Now this Burke's a real sap, too nice to say no despite the fact that he is sure something's not quite right about this old crone, and agrees. Well, what's the woman's name? He asks. Where does she live? Where should I go look for her? She's not by the debtor's pit. The woman hands him in the box, a wooden thing, wrapped in colored cloth, and tells him to just go, and she'll be there. Finally, she warns him. In whatever you do not open the box. So he takes it home with him and hides it in the rafters, thinking he'll be safe. He'll bring it by the debtor's pit when it's lights out. His wife, though, seeing him hiding the box, gets right jealous, thinking it's a gift of a lover or something, and opens it up as soon as she's not looking. Well, turns out the box was full of gouged out eyes and severed male members with the hair still on them. Her scream brought the Burke running. He remembered what the crone said, got right scared, and wrapped the box back up. He went out straight away to Debtor's Pit, and sure enough, there was another old hag waiting for him there. He hands her the box, and she says to him, This box has been opened and looked into. The poor Burke tries to deny it, but she gets this dreadful look on her face. You done something horrible, she tells him, then disappears. That done, he hurries back to his Kip. He's feeling ill when he gets back, and takes to bed. His wife bitterly regretted opening the box and all, but it was too late. The next day, he died of a rotting disease, and the first thing to go was his eyes and stem. She nods grimly, her tale complete. He smiles. That was a wonderful tale, Anna. You should never hesitate to share it. No one for you. Parched land. Once, a large village was struck by a terrible drought. The farmer journeyed to the worshiping stone, and again implored it as to the cause of the drought. He asked the stone why it did nothing when the fields were parched and drying, why the animals and the people suffered while the stone did not a thing. Have we not given enough offerings? The farmer asked, begging almost on his hands and knees. But the stone did not respond. It merely sat and cast its shadow. Okay, what about Takan? Takan nods solemnly. I shall impart the tale of Ak Ali drowning. 1 second. Takan tells the story of Ak Ali, a foolish Githseri of myth who had become lost in the chaos of Limbo. Normally, a single Githseri may use their focus and mental discipline to form the chaos around them into a small, habitable environment. Ak Ali, however, had so many useless and unfocused questions in her quest to return home that her Isle of Matter dissolved around her and she drowned. Oh, we've already heard that story. In more detail than that. That was like a summary. Eves goes on to tell a different version of Takan's tale, in which Ak Ali was driven from the Githseri city of Shoktalor for her constant useless prattling. One day she encountered a Slotty on his way to the spawning stone. She hastily erected a wall of chaos matter, which even the ravenous Slotty found difficult to break down. Hungrily it waited, and spoke to her through the wall. She asked it questions, and as she became more absorbed in her pointless queries and the Slotty's answers, Her own wall decayed and collapsed upon her, and thus she drowned in the matter of limbo. And finally, Grace turns to Eve. I have no story that I wish to share with you today, Tail Chaser. I cannot let you exhaust my library before I can find more stories. Okay.
All right.
Seems like all we can do unless we get to more companions at some point. Alright, so let's talk to the Modrons, and then we'll go in the back door here, see what's over there. This strange cubic creature seems to be as much machine as it is organic. As you approach, it silently stares at you with wide, unblinking eyes. Its face hasn't the slightest trace of emotion in it. Come on, Chief. We're in a building full of some of the sexiest chits in this side of the multiverse, and you're stopping to talk to Modrons? What can you tell them about me, Mort? He makes a noise of utter disgust. What's there to say? Annoying little clockwork pests. They're always working to impose law and order upon the multiverse. Not good, mind you. Just law. Let's just forget about them and go chat up the ladies, eh? Apologies, but I'm talking to the Modron. He sighs loudly. Fine, whatever, but don't say I didn't warn you. You probably won't get anywhere with them, Chief. They're an odd lot to talk to. Greetings. Its voice has a metallic, reverberating quality to it, as if it were more of a sound played out on some warped musical instrument than true speech. Your greeting is returned. There's a soft click as the creature blinks. An awkward silence hangs in the air between the two of you. I had some questions. Identify yourself to us. I'm not sure who I am. We would know why this is so. I don't know myself, I just can't remember. All things should have a name. All things should be identified. We find your answer unsatisfactory, but it shall have to suffice for the present. The creature pauses and blinks at you. We would identify ourselves as Modrons, Codron type, winged variant, to the subject. The subject is free to ask a question. What are you doing here? Our purpose here is observation. What are you observing? We are observing one of the establishment staff. Which one? The object of our scrutiny is named Delora. Why? We have not been informed as to the specific purpose or purposes which resulted in our being given our present task. The command of our superior Pentadrone is sufficient reason to perform said task. As such, it is the purpose or purposes. As such, the purpose or purposes are irrelevant to us. What can you tell me about this place? A building located in the section of Sigil commonly known as the Clerk's Ward. We cannot give the exact coordinates as the surface of Sigil changes at intervals we have not determined at the present. The building itself is known as the Brothel of Slating Intellectual Lust. It serves as what may be broadly defined as a language school. The students of the school are primarily females who intend to, at some point, we have not determined and which varies from student to student, become a factotum of the Society of Sensation. We will provide a brief summary as to what the Society of Sensation is defined as. A faction whose core belief is that with experience comes true understanding of the multiverse and its secrets. What can you tell me about the silent prostitute? The subject referred to is named Echo. We have gathered no more information regarding said subject. About Rebel Puzzlewell. We know nothing of any being or object possessing such an appellation. Okay. Didn't get much out of them. Although we did find out they're watching Delora for some reason. Which I suppose is curious.
All right.
Alright, let's go check the back entrance. Or non-entrance necessarily, but...
Done.
Yeah, anything I can, like, look at here? Seems like a, something I should be able to look at, but maybe not. Although maybe when I get around to the head, I'll be able to. Brothel caretaker. Greetings, sir. The man turns to fall from grace. And greetings, Mr. Grace. Rest assured, I'll keep the lady's sensory stones in order while you're away. He turns back to me. If you'll excuse me, I have several things to tend to. Farewell.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
These just seem to be the ladies' names. Oh, this is interesting. I wonder how many there are down here. 1, 2. 3. 4. Oh, I don't think I finished talking to Casares. He was wandering around. I want to make sure I don't forget that. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Seven. Okay, so there will actually be 10 of these. 8. 9. So who's this one? Oh, this isn't someone. Okay. The writing has been scared away.
My journal.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm surprised this doesn't have like a description to it that you can click on. Okay, let's talk to Casares, I think, or whatever. What was her name? Yeah, Casares. Okay. What sort of things do you do? Talk, of course. Usually about dreams. Often those erotic in nature, but not always. She winks at you, smiling. So, would you like to tell me yours? Don't be shy, I've heard everything you know. Nothing will shock or surprise me. And I so love to hear people's dreams. We can trade if you'd like, but you must go first. This is corny. My dreams were recently revised when I saw you, my lady. Where are they now? She smiles, her gleaming red eyes looking you over once more. You look very savage, you know. Tell me, are you rough with your lovers? In the act, I mean. Very physical? If it pleases them. She smiles, nodding. I thought you'd say as much. I'm quite rough myself. I like to be carried around, and I particularly enjoy biting. Sharp teeth, though, so I've got to take care. Sometimes I get carried away and draw a little blood, you know. It's enough to make me weep. Where was this chit when I had a body? Roaming the outlands, most likely. But that was a rhetorical question, wasn't it? She winks at Mort, then turns to you once again. You have sharp teeth? I certainly do. Would you like to see? Here, she opens her mouth slightly, running her violet tongue over her bottom teeth. Her king nuns are just long enough to be considered fangs. I don't think I'd mind the biting. She laughs. I doubt I'd get through that thick hide of yours anyway. You have much sensation left in your skin? No, sadly, not really. Scars are very thick. Oh, that's a shame. You do have a lot of scars. She looks closely at your face. Even your lips. The lid of your eyes. Tell me, are you scarred everywhere? You know, everywhere? No, not really. Parts of me have somehow managed to stay out of harm's way. That's good then. She laughs cheerfully, then puts on a mock serious look, placing her hands on her hips. You never did tell me about your dreams, you know? Come on then, let's have them. I don't have dreams, actually. She arches her eyes in surprise. Truly? How sad. Even fiends and Davis dream. You know? Are you certain you don't? Quite certain. No dreams at all. Too peculiar. I'm at a loss as to what to say. Okay. Maybe we can ask some questions. Okay. What are you doing here? Entertaining your questions, it seems. She winks at you. Although really I'm a student of Mistress Grace's. All the prostitutes in the brothel are. Student? That's right, the brothel is actually a school for women who are thinking of becoming sensates. Mistress Grace teaches us the ways of language so that we can better identify with ourselves and those around us. It lets us experience the planes more fully, you know? Tell me about the sensates. The Society of Sensation believes that the multiverse can only be understood by experiencing it. The more you experience, the closer you are to understanding the dark of the multiverse. Intriguing, huh? I think I was born to be one. I just want to know things. What can you tell me about the silent prostitute? Yes, that's Echo. She's very sweet, but so quiet. I understood that she said something once, which caused some great tragedy, and because of that, she'll never speak again. She shrugs, smiling. An interesting enough story, but I don't know if it's true. Try asking Delora. What about Ravel Puzzlewell? Nope, nothing. Are you sure? You suddenly seem upset. She narrows her red eyes at you. Of course I'm sure. Don't ask me of her again. You don't mind my asking, what are you? She shakes her head. What? Can't you tell? She draws up, thrusting her ample bosom towards you. A woman! She raises her eyebrows. I can see my answer doesn't please you. I'm plain touched. Actually, like your friend here. She indicates Anna. That's all you need to know. Okay. Alright, well I think that is everything here.